and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
Hey everybody, my name is Marcus Manise. I am the founder and executive director of Strong in My Father Youth and Family Services. Our organization is designed to help young men growing up in homes with our Father have a better chance at a better life and a better opportunity. Our organization is preventative, so our goal is to prevent kids from going to jail, juvenile, but live out the purpose that God truly has designed for them. For all information on our organization, if you're looking for a mentorship program and your child is between grades 2nd through 9th, we encourage you to go to our website, stronginmyfather.org, for more information. Sign up to be a part of Stronger Sons Mentorship Program. And then we're hoping that this program continue to help your son live out the true dreams that God truly has designed for them.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to celebraterecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
To listen to Conversation Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a big show tonight. Got 2 shows coming up. And Roger, thank you for Roger Thomas for putting, really kind of working on both these shows. It's kind of his idea. So if they flop, it's Roger Thomas' fault. Roger, you worked on some giveaways that you want to talk about the first
yes, one? Bob's Barbecue in Smyrna is giving away a family pack. We're going to have a couple of contests tonight, and the one in the first segment, and the other, which will be a TNT Fireworks in Laverne, Tennessee, which will be a assortment package. It's pretty good.
It is. Well, how do you want to work that out?
Well, I can do it right now. Whoever calls in right now, first caller will win that fireworks package from TNT Fireworks. I think it's valued at $75. 615-893-1450.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll let you introduce our guest because it was kind of your idea to do this. Go ahead.
Yeah, how did this actually come about? We had a storytelling event at Sam Davis' home Saturday. But Dr. Murphy here, Dr. Steve Murphy, he came in. He's our director at Sam Davis' home, or he's our board president at Sam Davis' home. He came in and I got nosy. I said, well, you're going to do that? And he said, yeah, and he showed me this snake. Okay.
Snake.
Yeah. I said, what on earth is that? He said, that's a story about Thankful Taylor. And then we got talking a little bit about it. And I said, man, we got to put this on the radio. But as we were talking, he said, now one of those doctors has a relative in Murfreesboro. His last name is Berger. So I looked through the phone book. He knew he was an attorney, I believe. And I looked through the phone book, or not phone book, the phone. and found an attorney, Ken Berger. And I left a message. I said, well, this guy never called me back. Well, 3 hours later, I get a call. That's me. And I invited him on the show to tell the story today, both of them. So that's kind of how that come about. I just thought it was really, really interesting story.
Yeah, awesome. Dr. Murphy, you do so much for Sam Davis Home. I appreciate you. Really, really do. I mean, Sam Davis Home means a lot to Roger. Sam Davis Home means a lot to Rutherford County and Tennessee as well. How many, I mean, you bust your tail out there. How many hours you put in?
Well, it varies quite a bit. I'm a college professor that sort of knows how to use a chainsaw.
He used that, in fact, when he came over there.
And do things like that. You know, so it's hard to say week by week, but we had for example, a gutter that came off the historic house, a gutter downspout, so we had to go over there and get that put back up this week, that kind of thing.
Y'all had a limb or something fall or get close to the house?
There was a limb that fell right where the director usually parks, and so we had to deal with that this week too.
Cool. Well, y'all's arborist. What's the arborist name that y'all have?
His name is Jim Reynolds.
Reynolds. Because he come over and looked at the tree we've got, and I think we have the tallest tree in Smyrna, our front yard. So 100 and well, the other one that fell a few years ago was 245 years old, and Rob Mitchell estimated it to be 119 feet tall. So I was looking at getting some limbs trimmed, what I can do to kind of help it. But he was a super nice fellow.
He really is. He's very good, and he took down a huge maple tree right by the historic house most recently. Did a great job with it.
Yes. Well, introduce how y'all know each other.
Well, we just met each other tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
I told you it was he. He told me he thought there was he had a relative in Murfreesboro, and I tracked him down.
So Rogers put us together, and I'm so glad that you did.
Detective.
I've been involved with this story since about 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And an old friend of mine from Bedford County who wrote articles for the Shelbyville Times-Gazette named Dick Poplin had told me about this story years ago and told me who to talk to about it. So, of course, it centers around the community of Christiana and some things that happened in the 1870s. Most important of which was a physician named Joshua Marion Coffey Berger, who was in the area and had been seeing this young girl that was having unusual symptoms. Her name was Louisa Thankful Taylor. She was about 20 years old when this happened. And the story she told is that when she was quenching her thirst as she was hot out in the cotton field working, then her family was tenant farmers in the area. They'd moved from Coffee County a few years before, and her father had died and her mother remarried. 17 children in the family. She was the second one of those 17. She went to quench her thirst, and she felt like something when she cupped that water and swallowed, something like a little string had gone down. That was her story.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I'm a biologist and have studied. I teach a parasitology course at Belmont University, and so it certainly got my interest. And I know a little bit about the chemistry of the human stomach and all that too, you know. But so we followed up on it, and I was able to meet a lady who is another direct descendant of Dr. Berger, who lived in Murfreesboro. She passed away just a few years ago at age 96. Her name was Lois Barnes. Her husband, J.B. Barnes, owned Fog Cutter Foods there where Barfield Crescent Road comes into 231 South. And that's where basically had been passed down to her through that family. Her all of these records, all these letters from Dr. Berger, all the signed affidavits of all the neighbors and a minister named Whit Ransom and a lot of them. There were like 30 doctors that came to talk to her and examine her after all this came to light. Anyway, so the snake also survived, and so I currently have it, but this week after the storytelling festival is now done and I've told my story at the Sam Davis Home, I'm going to pay a visit to John Lodell at the Rutherford County Archives. All the other materials are there. They've been digitized. They're stored properly there. The snake's going there this week.
Really? So you have the snake?
I have the snake.
For real? Wow.
And it's a 23-inch northern water snake, and very detailed about when The doctor extracted it on really 151 years ago, this past Thursday, June 24th, is when he had told the mother, the next time this black living substance comes up in your daughter's mouth that's been besieging her, to hold it with your hand and call for me. I used to think that he was in Murfreesboro and they had to send a horseman and he had to come all the way out from Murfreesboro, but he was actually staying with someone about a quarter mile away. And so he gets there. It's a full moon night. He pulls it out, mucus all over it,
really?
and it dies a few minutes later. And thankful, of course, throws up quite a bit. But then she feels
he
better.
throws up too, or just
Well, no, he's a doctor. He can handle it. But
Okay.
but anyway, so he preserved the snake. It's still in the same container, although I did change out the preservation fluid, the alcohol, because the level had gotten down kind of low and it was dingy. So
23 inches, isn't it?
23 inches, northern water snake, no question about what kind of snake it was.
Man, that's nasty.
So her story was that it had matured in her stomach, and then become more of a problem for her over really months and even up to 5 years. And so the doctor, another doctor, Bartley Newton White, B.N. White, had come to see her, had treated her from worms. Everybody had worms back then, and he thought that's what the problem was. That didn't solve the problem, and so this physician, Dr. Berger, who was based in McMinnville but came to Rutherford and Bedford County quite often, had been called in to see her. And saw her in January of that year. Remember, June is when the snake was extracted. But he basically came to see that thankful in her bed many times, several times, almost daily.
Yeah.
And that's what they said.
Yeah.
I grew up in Manchester, and my father was Paul Berger. And one of the stories that my father, my wonderful father, liked to tell me and my 4 older sisters was the story of Thankful Taylor. And we weren't sure whether it was full truth or partly embellished.
Yes,
but 1973, the Tennessean did a story on it, and the emphasis of that story that I found most interesting was it became a national news story. It was in the post-Reconstruction era. Times were tough, and I guess people were interested in wild stories like that, so it became a national story. And to me, the interesting thing about it, as I had mentioned earlier, is that when I read this article and eventually came to Murfreesboro after I finished the Army and MTSU, came back to Murfreesboro practicing law here back in the early 70s, mid-70s, I met my friend George White, attorney George White, whose office just happens to be right next door to mine. And we started, I don't know how we got into this topic one day, but this story came up somehow, and we talked about the controversy. There was some real dissension between Dr. White and my ancestor, I think it was his great-great-grandfather and my great-great-uncle. So Dr. White sort of, as I read the story, this Tennessean story from back in '73, got sort of shunted out of the picture a bit, and the family allowed Dr. Berger to treat her and to supposedly extract the snake. So it's a long story, more to it than I'm describing. It's kind of a detailed story. They convened a committee in Nashville, a medical research committee of some kind, to read the affidavits of the local minister and the neighbors, and to look at the snake and to interview the Miss Thankful Taylor. And the consensus of that, I think, was published down at the University of Nashville, the old predecessor to the medical school predecessor to Vanderbilt's medical school. And they concluded that it was not really conclusive, but that it was possible that the snake could have somehow survived in the gastric juices of the stomach. And so there was some, after a lot of vilification, and there were it divided the community.
Really?
Some people took the side of Dr. White, some people took the side of Dr. Berger, and newspapers did the same around the country, and there were all these accusations that Dr. Berger had fabricated the story to get publicity, which who knows. But the end result of all of that was that the committee filed its report. This was some 8 or 9 years. The story lingered. That's to me, another odd thing. Of something of that nature would have stayed in the press and at the mainstream media for so long, before this committee finally issued its report and said that at least it was possible, not conclusively proved, but possible. But that's it was a story childhood story from my family that I've learned a little more about it along the ways, and to me the most interesting story is that as I learned later that my good friend George White was connected to the story on the other side of the fence. So
that I've heard it. I've heard the old story. I guess I've heard it maybe on Truman Jones. I think maybe Truman talked about it. You know, when he was that. Well, one, it's pretty gross. You know what I'm saying? To think about it. Have you ever heard of that happening anywhere else?
I sure haven't.
It actually has a tradition all the way back into medieval Europe, and there are people claiming they had a snake in their stomach or frogs and such, and this is where religion and exorcism and all sorts of stuff comes in, and they would interview these people, even famous scientists like Linnaeus and others over in Europe saw some of these people and commented and wrote about them, and so it goes way back. And one of the cures, by the way, I read was that you had to give the person horse urine.
That gets even worse.
Wow.
Yeah, that's even worse and such. So there's also in modern times, but still even during Thankful Taylor's time, there's a condition, a psychological disorder called pica. Maybe you've heard of it before, where people ingest things that should never be ingested.
Oh yeah.
And there are reasons that bring this on, and we know that we don't know a lot about Thankful's family structure, but family 17, her father dies, her mother remarries, they're tenant farmers. We just wonder how much stress she was under, and whether maybe, there's also a report that she was known to catch snakes.
Oh, really?
And of course, that if she had everybody fooled, though, because she was in her bed most of the time under this travail she was in, if that was the case.
Was she a heavy-set girl? I mean,
no.
You appear to be in the
here's
picture.
a picture right here. Yeah.
Okay.
But she.
In fact, they described her as stringy, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what that article described her as. Stringy appearing.
Someone said she was not far removed from idiocy. Now that was, it just depends on who interviewed her.
Now, the name Thankful, we were talking earlier, was that a real name?
Her real name was Louisa Thankful Taylor, and it wasn't that unusual to give names like that to people back then.
An old Puritan name, wasn't it? Puritan?
I think so. I think so.
Oh, okay.
I've even heard of people
Puritan
being
So that was the first name, not
her middle name.
Okay.
Her first name was Louisa.
Okay.
Second name Thankful, but they called her Thankful.
Okay. I bet she was thankful to get that snake out of her.
Well, she told the doctor, she told Dr. Berger she felt like a great burden had been taken off of her stomach, and certainly it had. The snake died just a few minutes later, and of course she got better, except for maybe some epilepsy. We're not sure.
Really? Our winner, Connor, do you want to announce our winner?
I already told her on the phone, but the winner for the Fireworks package is Miss Angie Gill.
It's not rigged because Angie also, I do a chili contest every year, and it's a big event, and I always have my buddies were like, it's rigged, whoever wins, it's rigged, and it's not rigged. But what was funny, I told
there's 81 million votes.
Her husband, Jeff, I said, man, you ought to enter. He goes, well, I'm not that good a cook. I said, but you never know who wins. It's just people that's not good cooks sometimes win, and he ended up winning. She ended up winning the door prize. I think she won another prize. So, so congratulations, Angie. I think we got another giveaway. We're going to do another maybe next half of the show.
Miss Angie says she's on the phone.
Oh, is she there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hey, I didn't know you were there. Congratulations. I didn't even know you were there. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So my chili contest, it's not rigged, right?
That's correct. I mean, you had talked to Jeff about entering it when you guys go to one of your men's groups, and he got to thinking about it, and he was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And actually, I didn't have any hand in it at all. That was all him.
It was all him? Where did he get his recipe at?
He just got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I told him to write it down, so he did, and it never made it that way before. So
well, there's a rumor that somebody that took second place, that's a high-profile political figure in the state of Tennessee, I won't say I'll get in trouble, that it was supposed to have been, it's this person's recipe, and it was a chief of staff came in, or I guess you'd call it field director, and they end up winning, and later people are like, man, that was Wendy's chili. That was not That was like, I could spot Wendy's chili. The guy went and bought Wendy's chili, but anyways, I won't say who the person was. Hopefully, though, I can get them out this year. They're running for a high profile race this. Well, it'll be next year, I guess you could say. But congratulations, Andy. Tell Jeff I said hi. Okay.
I sure will. Okay.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate Roger hooking that up. Steve, how come, or Dr. Murphy, I should say, how come you care so much about history and Sam Davis Home and historic preservation?
Well, I'd say that study of history is kind of my avocation because I am trained as a scientist and such and a professor, but it's just always local history, especially in Civil War history.
Yep.
I had 3 ancestors who fought in the Confederate Army, for example.
Yeah.
And Dr. B.N. White was a Confederate surgeon as well.
We got our intern's got a big degree in history, don't you?
Yeah. I got my degree in public history, and I did my internship at Soldier.
Great.
He's the one that's seen the ghost behind Sam Davis Home. True story. Tell it. Tell it?
All right. Yeah. Sure. A couple months ago, it was also foggy too. But I've decided to see, like, are they there again? Nope, they're not there. Okay. But yeah, no. I think it was like the second year that I had been working at the golf course as a groundskeeper / maintenance guy. And so one morning, it had been an unusually cool and rainy morning, and it was foggy and whatnot. And so we go out there, we clock in 5:30 in the morning. Nobody's supposed to be out there, that sort of deal. My partner, he's on number 10. I go to number 11, and if any of Mike's listeners know Smyrna Golf Course, they know the back, like the back of their hand. And so how number 11 sort of dog legs left around the bend up to the green. And so I'm making my little first pass going up towards the green, start at the very back of the fairway. So approaching this dog leg, and in the fog, I can see a form. I can't make out any sort of corporeal, as if like this person is as real as like me to you. I can see you very clearly. I can see your details. I just see a figure. I just see a figure just standing there looking into this little wrought iron gate. Or this wrought iron fence that's actually grown into the trees as the years have gone by. And so, I'm thinking, there ain't supposed to be anybody back here at this time of morning. So I was like, I'll go let them know that, hey, you need to get out of here before I call police and that sort of deal. So I'm like, so I just hop off my mower, bring out my reels, because I'm on a big old fairway mower, but that's besides the point. But I bring up my reels, hop off my mower, throw it down. As I'm stepping down, I'm watching is like make sure like this person's still there. So as soon as I start walking over, they just disappear, just no footprints and in the dew, nothing.
It's fascinating.
And so I'm like,
y'all believe in ghosts?
All right then.
I would say we do have. I'm there by myself a lot, sometimes late in the day or sometimes early morning, and you can see some things at times.
Oh, yeah.
I know we have ghost tours. 2 weekends in October each year, and I'm in charge of the hayride that starts the ghost tour. And we go down by the creek. It gets kind of misty down there as well. Now Stewart Creek, so we encourage people to come to those 2 weekends in October.
Well, a friend of ours, she used to be, I guess, caretaker or something over at Tony Hicks. It was years ago, if you know Jamie. Mm-hmm. And she would tell me she'd hear the music box. And there's another girl that I know that worked out there. Have you heard that story a lot? A faint music box playing?
I have.
And then Roger claims a woman said his name. I used to make fun of him.
He's not in here.
And then he said a guy said his name a few months ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Roger. Anyways, anybody said your name?
Not yet. Not
yet.
No.
Let's hope not. Dr. Berger, how do you feel like you believe in ghosts?
I believe in the spirit world. Yes, I do. I don't know if ghosts are the right word or what it is.
Are you a Christian?
I am indeed. Yes.
Does that conflict with Christian values?
It's science we haven't learned yet.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But people used to think electricity was magic. It was evil or spiritual.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's just science we haven't learned yet, and how it will be explained. If it's ever explained, I don't know. But to see, I've never had a personal experience. I've talked to too many credible people who have,
Yeah.
and it's ignorant to say that they're imagining. So it would be ignorant for me to, this credible young man who has no motive to make up this story. He just told us the truth.
Yeah.
And what that was, I don't know. Whether that was somebody from the other side coming or something that was some sort of electrical apparition, we don't have any way of knowing. But to say it's not credible is ignorant.
Well, we had somebody a couple years ago who was like an expert in that field. If you're inclined to believe that, he said that they were just making themselves known that they're there, that spiritual energy or whatever it is. It's
it may be a knowing entity. It may not be a knowing entity. It may be an electrical something from that we don't understand yet, or a electrical's not the right word.
You ever seen a ghost?
No, I have not.
Dr. Murphy, you seen a ghost?
I have.
Have you really?
Well, yeah.
Where?
In the old Kimmons house near the farm I grew up, when I was driving my motorcycle home from Holland Hay.
Oh, really?
Late one night, many years ago as a teenager.
Really? What kind of motorcycle did you have?
Oh, at the time it was just a Honda Sport 50.
A what?
A Honda Sport 50.
Oh, what year was it?
Well, I don't know. Or it might have been the SL 100. I don't know. I had a couple of little Hondas at the time.
You can tell I'm a little ADHD switching from motorcycles. You know.
It's a 180 degree.
I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. You know.
90 degree.
Yeah. Well, you know, I had something happen to me just 2 weeks ago. Just something was poking me on the arm one morning. Just poke, like right there on the shoulder. Just poke. And it woke me up, but I didn't open my eyes. And I said to myself, when I open my eyes, this is going to stop. And I opened my eyes and it stopped. But I've never seen anything, you know, personally. Connor, you ever seen a ghost? I haven't. You haven't?
I think one of the more intriguing, ghosts, stories or things surrounding it is Gettysburg. Gettysburg, and any sort of Civil War battlefield where tons and tons of men died. I mean, there's bound to be something still, replaying. They say that, limestone? They say that limestone sort of like contains or doesn't not necessarily harvest.
Our house is built out of Indiana limestone. You know, that pretty white stone, and it was thick, thick stone, but it's encased. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming up.
Thank you for the
invitation.
invitation.
And it's Ken
Thank
Berger,
you for the
right?
Ken is right. Yeah.
Ken, Dr. Steve Murphy.
Yeah.
Ken, if we met somewhere, you look familiar.
Well, I've been hanging around here for.
Where do you go to church at?
First Methodist. First Methodist. Practice up on the square. I own 103.9 WQJZ, the local jazz blues station.
That's how I know your name.
And,
okay.
With my friend Jim Gilmore.
Now, when do y'all go on?
We're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah.
And what's the station again?
103.9 Jazz and Blues.
Is that what's it? Is it like a mile radius?
No, we've got a 40-mile diameter. We're squarely in the center of a 40-mile diameter. And we're on the internet. We have listeners all over the world on the internet. If you're a jazz and blues fan, we're the place you need to go.
Cool.
And I find, there aren't the number of jazz and blues fans, just as with the number, I think, of FM radio listeners are diminishing some, but we have a really, really healthy, growing audience.
And you're airing it from the square?
Yep.
Well, I've heard about it. I've heard Brian Barrett.
My partner is in Brentwood, and we originate part of that from Brentwood, but it feeds to the lower level of my office over there where we have the studio.
And what's your office near?
I am number 12 on the square. It's right next door to Larry Sims' place. Larry Sims is on the right, and the Rucker Group is on the left of me.
Man.
I'm on the north side.
Well, I wish you had more time. One day I was doing ghost tours with some people, just tagging along.
Yeah, there's a lady who comes by there and does that.
Yeah, and I seen they were talking about underground tunnels, and the guy says elected officials don't want you to know these secrets. And my wife looked at me because I was a county commissioner. I don't know about these secrets. And I popped into Larry. I said, Larry, he happened to be in his office. You know anything about underground tunnels? He looked at me like I was crazy. We walked around, and real quick, I'll share this because it is a pretty cool story. I asked the mayor. He said, this is the mayor years ago. He looked at me like, what are you talking about? You're nuts, I asked Commissioner Gary Farley. Gary said, man, I've heard of this. I've heard that, that rumor Public Works digging up some sewer lines. Then, who I went to? Went to the janitor, the custodian of the courthouse. She said, come on, I'll take you to him. Man, her and I walked out over the coin building like 9:30 at night, and we go in the basement, and you could see the old pickaxe, the ground. And I was a little nervous because down there with this woman at 9:30 at night, got trapped in. People would never believe that this is why I'm down here, And I guess there's some underground tunnels under the square. You know. Anyways,
Interesting.
we'll do a show around that.
There's a lady who
around
circles.
Halloween.
It does a nightly. I don't know if she does it every night. Weekly nighttime tour of ghosts,
Really?
haunted spots around the square. I can't think. I'm sorry. I
Well,
can't
maybe
think
we'll
of her
try to
name now.
get her up here.
She's interesting to talk to. She tells some interesting stories about activity around the square.
Cool. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things happening up here at the square. You had a Confederate general freed a lot of innocent civilians that were going to be executed. A lot of people don't know that
That's
story.
right. They was getting ready to burn them to death.
Yep, that story doesn't fit the narrative today because it's so. What would you call that, Dr. Murphy?
Well,
They want to rewrite history in a sense,
it's
you know.
cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Some
yeah.
call. Yeah.
Wokeism.
Yeah.
You know. It's real. Well, Connor, thank you guys so much. Connor, let's go to a quick break, and we got our next guest, Ron Alley and Jeremy Burr, talking about some of the revitalization of downtown Smyrna.
Okay.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
At Dr. Automotive in Smyrna, we're committed to providing local car owners with top-notch auto repair services. With over 2 decades of experience, our ASC certified master technicians are experts in both foreign and domestic vehicles, ensuring accurate diagnosis and timely, cost-effective repairs. From oil changes to major engine and transmission repairs, we've got the cure for your car. Dr. Automotive, keeping your car running smoothly, mile after mile. Visit our website, smyrnaautorepair.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to CelebrateRecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
All right, Conversation Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks, coming back with you, talking about downtown Smyrna's revitalization. I asked Connor if he could play some Thunderstruck by AC/DC, but he said no. Another guy got in trouble. We won't say his name. He doesn't have a lot of conservatives on the air if he's listening. He comes on later in the evening. But anyways, sometimes we'll get in trouble if we're not careful on playing music, you know. I guess people want their money. But speaking of music, our next guest is a music guy, Ron Alley, and Jeremy Burr. But before we go to that, Roger, you've got something you worked on. Why don't you talk about it real quick?
Oh, yeah. We have we had a contest a little earlier. We had a winner, which was Miss Angie Gill. She won the fireworks assortment from TNT Fireworks in Laverne. This one now, we're going to give another one away. It's going to be a family pack from Bob's Barbecue in Smyrna, Tennessee. And everybody knows where Bob's is. And anyway, we're going to take the first caller on that, and that will be the winner for the barbecue family pack.
All right, 893-1450. Connor will take care of that. Well, these next guests were kind of your idea.
You
introduce them?
I'm on the Historical Zoning Commission in Smyrna, okay? And that's how I got. I knew Ron kind of from that, but just around different functions, different things. But anyway, we were other night we were in a meeting, and after we left the meeting, we were talking in the parking lot, and I just these guys are so passionate about downtown Smyrna, keeping it like it is, and all that. And I said, man, that'd be a good story. I mean, I could see it in their eyes when they were talking how they really love downtown Smyrna. And that's why I invited them up, or asked you to invite them up.
Yeah. No, it's a great show, man. I mean, Ron's been up with me.
Just a couple times.
He's done a couple times. One thing I like what you told me years ago at Rotor. You remember this? I said, I'm not an artsy-fartsy type of guy. And you know what you said?
Well,
you don't remember what you come back with.
You are artsy. I mean, you are creative.
Yeah. Well, I don't think of myself being creative, and but I mean, it's called the left brain part.
Yeah,
it's creative. And our next guest, Jeremy Bird, who's obviously creative because he's got the sign company.
Yeah.
Why are y'all so passionate about downtown?
So I grew up in Smyrna. So I've been there since I was 4. And I worked for the company I now own since I was 12. Mm-hmm. So that was a God story, to be honest with you. It was not my plan. I made the plan in about 4 hours to open Front Street Sign Company. So,
really?
Yeah. So it was, I'm very passionate about it. I feel like I'm there for a reason. I was with UPS 18 years, thought I was going to retire from there, thought that was what my plan was in life, was to be at UPS, be in management. And here I am owning Front Street Sign Company and investing back in the community and where I grew up, and trying to keep it what I remember, and even elevating it to a different level of what it can be.
Yes.
Right.
Good, Ron.
Exactly.
And you've got, tell us what you do. Tell me what you do.
Well, Carpe Artista, of course. We've been down there since 2011. 12 actually. So when did you buy the
2016? I bought everything.
Yeah, and I remember when you came to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking at buying the sign shop. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I feel led to do this." And then we just started. We started sharing vision. Really, I mean, because I had been sharing vision for the revitalization. We used the cafe to talk about it on the front porch. We used to say, "Hey, this is our front porch," to talk about the things that could happen down here. And Jeremy gets it.
Obviously,
he knows. Yeah, it needs to it needs to have new life pumped into it, and it needs to not just stay the same. It needs to retain what's there and the integrity of what's there, but it needs to grow to give our town kind of identities coming from that area.
Well, y'all been instrumental in making that happen. No doubt. Well, you mentioned vision. Why is vision important?
Oh, okay. Well. Okay, there's a scripture that says, "Without vision, the people perish." Yes. So vision's extremely important. It's hope, It's hope, and hope is what keeps us going. So
hope is real, man, no doubt. Well, and you've got your build looking great.
Thank you.
I think Marty Luffman and I were talking. Marty's, one of our historians, and Marty, some of the things Marty will tell me, you're literally thinking he's making it up. But it was real. He really did it. You know what I mean? Like he was instrumental in starting the first Christmas parade. I think he helped started the Old Timers Day in Laverne, and you're like, is this real? I mean, but he really did. He built his building at 33 over. So he had vision when Nissan was coming in. But man, I was over at your build because I got my trophies. Well, I guess the trophy that Angie won was.
Oh, did she get the mayor's? You talking about at
Mayor's Cup? Well, really her husband won, Jeff, which is your cousin. Okay, and it's not rigged.
Sure,
it sounds rigged, but it's not.
Yeah, and they won the door prizes.
They won the door prizes.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, the mayor. So he won the mayor's choice.
Well, I don't know if he won that or not. He won the best chili.
Well, we had a mayor's choice that the Mayor Esther Reed had I think, chosen, and then Jeff, I guess, may have won the other one. But the guy that won the other, I don't even know who that guy was. He just showed up, man. Never met him before my life. But you had some beautiful trophies right there that you just hooked me up, and I think you took care of Marty Luffman on his signs. But man, you've got the downtown. That I remember that was the So Unique place.
Well, I've got all the pictures from when it was So Unique. My mom used to go in there and buy stuff there. She took classes there. That was like a hobby for her. So,
cool.
It's kind of one of those things too, when I bought the buildings, this, again, not my plan, but about 3 years into it, we were so busy I had to have more room. I don't know if anybody knows about that back building in the back that we built.
Man,
but we had to knock down the original building.
Yeah.
But it had no footing underneath it.
What's the little shop we called the Snake Pit where Roger hung out growing up?
Yeah.
What's it called now?
Front Street Pub.
Front Street Pub.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job there.
They really are. They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I was told when I was growing up not to go to Snake Pit. My mom always said stay away from the Snake Pit.
I did go to Hay Baler. One of your buddies made your walls up at the old woodshed.
I wasn't old enough.
And we got kicked out of there because we had long hair, and stuff. Yeah, we didn't last long. But we got kicked out of his country club too over there.
Country club.
Where did he get kicked out? We could only go in the kitchen. He wouldn't let us in the main.
I tell you, we could be up here 4 hours talking about the craziness of Smyrna, some of the things that went on.
Can I ask Jeremy a question? Jeremy, how many buildings you actually own there in the Smyrna area?
We own 5 properties now. We just bought the old Bridal Country and Wilson's Photography. So getting ready to do the facelift on it. It's going to be an elevated facelift.
It is. It looked good. And I thought at first, then I remember seeing that same look on the square in Murfreesboro.
That's right.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was really good.
Yeah, that's going to be a really great addition. Question.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you got any sort of pushback from the local community about doing most of that historical.
Not at all. Not at all. So the building when we purchased everything, it looks brick. Like when you drive by it, it looks like it's a brick facade.
Yeah.
It's not. It is a block building with chicken wire thin set and a fake brick put over it, and it's falling off. Yeah.
So that was deteriorating.
Yeah,
so.
it's pretty bad.
It's actually what he is doing with it is actually putting it back to what it originally, one of its original fronts.
Yeah, because it had a wood storefront originally.
Really? Originally.
Back in the, I would say 30s, it looks like.
It's actually more real, more authentic what you're doing to it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So the wood front you're talking about was on
the Bridal Country and Wilson's Photography.
Really?
Yeah, that brick. I'm not trying to be mean. My buddy owned that building, but it had to be the worst place. And I knew Steve probably knew he was gonna sell it.
Yeah.
Probably to put, the least amount of money he really had to keep it going.
Yeah.
But I think those renters there were like 40 years, maybe, the tenants.
Something like that.
And
Mr. Wilson and his wife.
Yeah, they'd been.
Well,
there.
he done all the sports. I mean, he probably did.
He did mine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He did my family pictures when I was a kid, when I was 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when
I
was 21, I may have told you I had the gym, had a fitness center.
Oh yeah.
When I was 21 there. I could have bought that building from Steve Burnett, I think for $45,000.
Yeah.
My rent was $550, Next thing you know, I got married, had kids, and just, couldn't juggle that and working 40 hours a week at Whirlpool. Yeah. But, you look back and think, man, I should have done this, shoulda, woulda, coulda type thing. But what keeps you motivated to take on this next project?
So my belief, even with my business and everything I do, if I take care of the community outside my windows and I take care of the people working for me, I in return get taken care of.
Yes.
And there's things that, I don't want to sound like a control freak, but there's things I want to see, and there's things I know the community wants to see around us, and there's things they don't want to see it become. Mm-hmm. So exactly. For me, we need more investors that have that vision to keep it a certain way. Yes. And try to get the businesses in there that need to be there to create walkability, to create people that want to get out of their car, just like the square in Murfreesboro. Yeah. I was in Helen, Georgia this past weekend, and that's a visionary city. Like,
what's the population of Helen?
Helen's, I don't know, maybe 15,000. Small.
Really?
Very, very small. But it looks like a German town straight out of Germany.
Really?
Wow. And it wasn't like that. Yeah. Visionaries created the space, and we have to do that in our own communities, or it's going to be what you don't want it to be. Yeah. And it's not about money. You've got to have investors that, yes, they have to make money in the end. Vision. They have to have money in the end, but it costs money at the beginning. So that's part of taking care of the community.
We had Thursday, Dr. Krause. Well, I do the show with Brian Barrett. We've doing that for 20 years, called it the Rutherford Issues, Smyrna Edition. And I had Mr. Charles Jones. Y'all need to meet this guy. He grew up at Old Jefferson. Do you know the story about Mr. Charles Jones?
No.
He's 95 years old. He owned Hickory Hollow, and he sold it, and I think paid $1 million, sold it. Well, he owned half of it, flipped it, made like $4 million on this thing. He owns the Milky Way Farm.
Okay.
The Morris Candy Bar founder. He's kind of at that point, which if you study Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he's at the above self-actualization. I mean, he's looking at, he calls it benevolent capitalism, where you're helping other people. He like to get a little return, but he ain't got to make a killing. But he wants to see something happen at in the old Jefferson community. I mean, you got to have vision, but you also got to have the reality. Mm-hmm. There's still some infrastructure out there. But I'd like for you guys to meet him. But he remembers going down Old Jefferson Pike, which what now we call it Saturday Parkway, and he remembers Goochland. He remembers it before Seward Air Force Base is constructed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, I can't even fathom that.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Wow.
I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. I was sharing that with Evan out there, the airport director. They opened up it'd been open, but the new runway, and I was looking over at the tower. My sister was air traffic control over there, and you think of vision. You think of our forefathers in World War II and how many men left out of there and never came home. The impact Seward Air Force Base had on Smyrna, and even currently today, the 118th moving to Smyrna is going to be a huge impact, positive impact, I think, for the most part. But that's a Herculean task. Well, both y'all, some of the issues that to take on right there, because you've got what was that building? It was a sheet company.
Oh, it was the Marable and Weekly department store originally. Yeah. With the first department.
Now say
store.
It again. How
Marable and Weekly.
Okay.
So
like Weekly Lane.
Okay. Yeah, they were partners. Mr. Marable, Mr. Weekly, partners in the department store. It was the first department store in Smyrna where people would go get their red ball kids and their coveralls and their Mother Goose shoes. And
see, Weekly, Robert Weekly, Marty knows that story. That's the home, the old Jefferson home, the King's John's home, and Weekly Lane. I think he was the first lieutenant governor of the state of Tennessee. That's Weekly County derives from. But Marty knows that story a whole lot better than I do. Well, Ron, talk about your impact on music and helping these kids.
Well, that's kind of going away from what we're talking about, but it's still related. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm involved down there is with the revitalization is to bring the arts into that area, and to because I've seen places where they've gone and made major monetary investment and done things, to the physical surroundings, but not included the programming in the area. And so you've got to marry those two together. So what we've tried to do is, we just got finished with Simply Smyrna, which has grown to around 10,000 people in attendance. That's a major event. We still have vision for making it grow. Jeremy and I talk about how we can continue to extend that and make it an event that becomes a regional event as opposed to just a town event. Because we believe we can draw people from a broader area into the district. I mean, we've got some really amazing things going on down there now.
We'll take a quick call. We got somebody on the phone. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, it's Marty.
Hey, man, we just talking about your ears on fire.
Well, I heard y'all listen to you. I agree with almost everything you said.
Well, you used to have a building. Jeremy made
the Smyrna revitalization. Back in 1982, I created what they call the Smyrna beautification program. And what we did with the city money was plant shrubs in front of buildings and stuff. And damn, somebody didn't come along and steal all of them, took every single one of them. We also created the Smyrna beautification for the business that tried to improve itself and help, and then the home, the beautiful home. And of course, Trish Nash was my co-conspirator on this, but we started a long time ago. I'm just glad to see somebody has taken it and run with it. We made it happen.
Well, Marty, your first State Farm office was at the corner, which is where the little coffee shop is, right?
Well, it's the other State Farm agent now.
You were in that same building?
Yeah.
Who owned that building? Was it the Barnetts that owned it at the time?
Yeah, they did.
And was it Comus Montgomery? Or Carl Montgomery? Is that who was beside you?
No, it was Smyrna Aerobics beside me.
Smyrna Aerobics? Okay. Where was Carl Montgomery at?
I don't know, Mike. I can't think right now.
Okay. I was thinking he was in there.
No, he wasn't over there with me. Now, the Johns brothers were over there. It was me, Smyrna Aerobics, and then the Johnses had their office building there. And then Smyrna Print and Design, of course. And then Wilson had the photography and the model shop.
Wow. Yeah, he was in there when you were there.
Huh?
Y'all both in there at the same time?
Yeah.
Man, wow, that's going way back. Yeah. Jeremy, you wouldn't even thought of.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
You wouldn't even thought of,
It's going back 45 years.
Wow. Well, Marty, thank you. We've only got a few minutes. I'll let Ron and Jeremy finish this up. Thank you for calling in, okay, brother?
All right, bye-bye.
Take care, man. All right. So what's the plans? Do you have a tenant?
I do.
Good for you, really.
I do.
Good.
Can't really talk about that right now. The inside of
the restaurant?
Inside of it's gutted. No, it's not a restaurant. It's kind of one of those things for me. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
So when you lease to somebody, in my opinion, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I have to benefit, but they also have to be winning as well. It can't just be a one-sided deal. And that's what you're seeing a lot now is these investors come in and it's a one-sided program for them.
Yeah.
And it's to benefit them. It's not to benefit their tenant too. I don't want to see tenants in and out.
And then the tenants can't stay.
They can't sustain. And that's what we need. Right. We need sustainability.
So I was going to say, and I'm not being negative, I think another restaurant now would be very difficult with the parking.
It'd be tough.
When I had my gym, sometimes people park cross street, and even back then, Smyrna, 10,000 people, good visibility, but it was just difficult access. I can remember when Paul Johns, I think Bob Spivey bought the old secondhand Rose. You remember that building?
No, I don't.
And they ended up bulldozing it. bulldozing it down. That's where the U-Haul.
Okay.
But to the left of Waldron's barbershop. But one thing I wanted to get in, you and I share, that's a little bit of a passion. Talk about, you got
It's
a
an
Mercedes.
addiction. It's not a passion. It's an addiction.
You've got what year Mercedes SL?
I've got a 70 model.
70. Yeah, and you remember a car I had.
I do.
I can't believe that you remembered that.
Yep.
I had a red 260 SL. Was it 240 or 260?
250.
250.
Yep.
So you knew the car more than I did. I bought that thing, and that was before I had my car. But I was in my late 20s. No, I was 33 because I just bought my property, and I had that Mercedes. And then I talk about weird Godwink moments, and I know y'all are believers. And we had helped a girl in Nashville, and there was this old homeless guy come walking. It was freezing. It was like 28 degrees, and I had my car trailer, had a dually at the time, and I was going to help this girl with a broke down car. And the guy with me, which he don't like me sharing his name, he wouldn't do anything to help him. I said, hey, man, what do you need? He said, well, I'm hungry. I said, well, walk over to Piccadilly Cafeteria and get you something to eat. I'll meet you over. I'll buy you something over by the Knowlesville Road.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. And so the guy with me, it is my wife's cousin, and he's what are you going to do? And that girl's with us, and he's like making fun of me for helping this old homeless guy. And the manager stopped him from coming in, and I was going to get into it with the manager, and the guy said, man, I know you want to help these guys, but these homeless people, you know. And I was like, here, and he hooked him up. He got a big old to-go plate, got him something to drink, and I gave the guy a bunch of change in my pocket. I said, call Nashville Union Rescue Mission. Back then you had payphones, and the old man looked at me, and the man says, may God grant you 1,000,000 blessings, like that. And I thought, well, what an odd thing to say. So I get my dually. They're making fun of me on the way home. You can't help these people. I said, man, it always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. I was delivering that Mercedes to Atlanta to a little lady, and I was driving in my dually, and I run out of gas, run out of diesel fuel. I was in the 7th lane. Man, I'm getting over. Something had told me to put a gas can in the back of my truck, threw a gas can there. Man, I had a sense of peace. Started walking in Atlanta about 5, 6 at night. Young man pulled up, about 24 years old, pulled up. Said, you need a ride? I said, yeah, I need to get diesel fuel. First exit didn't have diesel. Next exit had diesel. He didn't want no money, so I took a $10 bill and I hit it in his console. And so tell me if this is not a God thing, man. It's so cool. Yeah. So a few days later, I get back from Atlanta, and I sold that car for like $12,500 too, man. That's cheap, man.
Now you look back.
I know. What it should have, could have, and should have kept it. And so I told my wife's cousin, who I'm going to keep nameless, I said, here, open my mail. I went to the post office box, and I had my buddy Dan Miller speaking at Rotary. Dan Miller, Dave Ramsey's best friend. Sadly, he passed. Here, open my mail. I never tell somebody to open my mail. Here, open my mail. He opens it up. There's a $10 bill that said, nice try, Mike. Is that not cool?
That's great.
Is that not a God thing?
Yeah, that's
Jeremy
awesome.
Bird, Ron Alley, appreciate y'all coming
Come
up.
see us down in the Depot District. Yeah,
We'll,
there's lots of cool things down there now.
We're going to have y'all back up here in the next few weeks, okay?
Awesome.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Roger.
Yep.